name of my cable access TV show that I've produced at least 200 episodes of, is a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. And it certainly applies in a lot of situations in the State House, no question. Just so you know, my introduction to politics came from watching Channel 15 in our town and throwing popcorn at the TV. And on one of my shows I mentioned I was a CPA, and that led to an invitation to be on the Finance Committee, that led to being a selectman, and I ended up here. I don't know what that says about cable access. I'm not sure if that's good or not, but I have been, as chairman of our nonprofit Cable Access Corporation in Sandwich back a few years ago, and as chairman of the selectmen when we were going through the renewal of our Comcast contract on both sides of that. And I have to commend everybody in PEG Access for being very well organized, and to you, Mr. Kelly, and Ms. Palmerino, that you do well with getting the troops to provide information and send letters to our committee here and other representatives. And in a number of those, and I know it wasn't part of the boilerplate language, but in a number of those emails that we received, it alluded to the destruction of PEG channels as a whole from a financing standpoint. And I wanted to ask any of you if you agree with that assessment and why this bill would contribute to the destruction of PEG channels as we know them now.
Certainly, Representative. It is our belief that the 90-day window or shot clock that's being proposed in S 1687 would be detrimental to PEG access centers around the state. And that is because the contracts are between the cable company and the municipality. We exist as a third party, and unfortunately we're not called to the table very often, and if we are, it's late in the process. The Cable Act of 1984, the Federal Cable Act of 1984 and 1996, calls for a 5% of gross annual revenues from the cable company, and then a capital grant percent. And that, the need for the revenues, a portion of the cable revenues, gross annual revenues, provides us with the necessary funding. And if we're late to the table in our discussions, our potential funding could be lost or minimized. And that is, and I don't want to single out any communities, but that has happened in some communities where the PEG access facility, the nonprofit 501c3, has lost a portion of their 5% or 4%, whatever they agreed to amount was in the previous contracts in the next discussion. And we see that, you know, the fact that we're late to the discussions as a possible detriment to our funding.
So I hope that answers. If you don't mind, I'll follow up with her. So is the issue more the time frame as opposed to the funding mechanism in this bill, or is the issue more that we just don't want to see the status quo change?
Well, I think this bill represents a time frame that's unfavorable to not only PEG access, we're just one component of it, but the entire communities, you know, cities and towns in the Commonwealth. I don't think we could do anything in 90 days. Order pizza in the Waltham City Council, we couldn't do that. The law department had to figure out whether pepperoni or mushroom was the right one for the community. So we see the 90-day shot clock as really the negative component of this. And as Mayor Curtatone said to you earlier, we don't know what the right time frame is, but we know that it's not broken right now. We're able to negotiate it with Verizon and communities in the current system. I don't know why we have to put a definitive time in that. It varies from community to community. So, you know, we'd like to just keep it as is, because there is an ascertainment hearing that's required, and the PEG access facility has to be geared up for that ascertainment hearing. Each cable company has to do that in the renewals or their initial licenses. And so we are heard, but you know, that ascertainment hearing doesn't happen overnight. So
Can I follow up one more question on the ascertainment?
Last question.
Yes. The ascertainment process that we just went through when we renegotiated our Comcast contract in Sandwich. Well, the renegotiation of a contract, it's well known when it's going to expire, but on a new contract, you don't know when somebody's coming into town. But am I wrong in saying that those things that we did, like a survey of our citizens, watching the channels and what they would like, what they don't like, all of those things that were part of the ascertainment process, could that not be done now in anticipation of getting an offer of a contract from a cable provider in the future, and just update that from time to time so that's not part of a shorter window?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure that question should be asked of me, Representative. I think that should be asked of probably the local franchising authorities and Verizon, Comcast, and RCN. I think some of those things may be done, but I don't think number one that should be answering that.
Ms. Palmerino, you mentioned you have 3 providers installed.
Yes, we do. We have Comcast, RCN, and Verizon.
And is there information available? Are you able to compare your rates in your community to other similarly situated or surrounding communities that have one cable provider?
I've not done that, but I can do that for you if you'd like me to.
I thank you all for your time today. Very much appreciated.